عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته, dear students. I am Assistant Prof. Dr. Farah Abduljabbar. My lecture for today is about prepositions, definitions, types, and uses. Hopefully that you will get benefit of this important subject. If we start with the definition, a preposition is a word or a group of words used before a noun, a pronoun, or noun phrase to show direction, time, place, location, spatial relationships, or to introduce an object. A preposition is a word used to link nouns, pronouns, or phrases of other words within a sentence. So their position is before the noun, the pronoun, or the noun phrase. Some examples of prepositions are words like in, at, on, of, and to. In English, prepositions are highly idiomatic, which means even if we have certain rules for using prepositions, there are other expressions in which prepositions are occur regardless of the rules that we have learned. In this case, it is better that you memorize the expression instead of the individual preposition use. We commonly use the prepositions to show a relationship in space or time, to make a logical relationship between two or more people, places, or things. For example, I study at the National University of Pharmacy. I'll meet you on Friday evening. He went to the university very early yesterday. A preposition generally, but not always, goes before its noun or pronoun. One of the underlying myths of English grammar is that a sentence does not end with a preposition, but also there is an exception, as in the following cases. That is something I cannot agree with. Who do you live with? Prepositions of time. A preposition of time is a preposition that allows you to discuss a specific time period, such as a date on a calendar, one of the days of the week, or the actual time something takes place. Prepositions of time are the same words or prepositions of place, but as far as usage is concerned, they are different. Let's now get to know how prepositions of time are used. First of all, we use at with specific times. For example, hour or minutes. I get up at 7 a.m. At 7 a.m. This is hour. Or minutes. So secondly, we use at for a holiday period of 2 or more days. For example, do you normally get together with your relatives at Christmas? We don't say in Christmas. Did you eat a lot of chocolate at Easter? Notice the use of prepositions of time at in the following standard expressions. There is no specific rule here. At is used with night, midnight, noon, weekend, same time, present. We say at night, at midnight, at noon, at the weekend, at the same time, at present. We use at with the time of the day. Also at with noon, night, and midnight. For example, I go to work at 8. He eats lunch at noon. She often goes for a walk at night. They go to bed at midnight. Use on with days. Days of the week, we use on and not at. I work on Saturday. He does laundry on Wednesday. We use on for specific days, days of the week and dates. Now we finished learning how to use at. Now let's move to learn how to use on. On, we said, used with the days of the week and dates. For example, my friend got married on a Friday the 30th. I was with my friends on New Year's Eve. We use in for specific months, years, seasons, decades, centuries, and lengths of time. Now we have in. My birthday is in January. Months, we use in. Days, we use on. Months, in, days, on. Years, we use in. Seasons, we use in. Decades, we use in. Centuries, we use in. Lengths of time, we use in. Let's see the examples given here. My birthday is in January. I didn't mention the date, just the month. My grandmother was born in 1927. We need to have this report ready in 15 minutes. In 15 minutes. Notice the use of the prepositions of time in and on in these common expressions. In the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, but on a Tuesday morning, on Saturday mornings, on Sunday afternoon, on Monday's evening. See the difference? We use in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. But if these expressions are preceded by days of the week, we use on. On Tuesday morning, on Saturday mornings, on Sunday afternoon, on Monday evening. Pay attention when we say last, next, every. This we do not use at, in, on. I went to Kiev last June, not in last June. He's coming back next Tuesday, not on next Tuesday. I go home every Easter, not at every Easter. We'll call you this evening, not in this evening. To refer to extended time, use the prepositions since, for, by, during, from, to, from, until, with, and within. For example, he will be in Toronto for 3 weeks. He will be in Toronto for 3 weeks, which means he will spend 3 weeks in Toronto. He works part-time during the summer. For the period of time throughout summer, he works. I will collect data from January to June, starting in January and ending in June. She will graduate within 2 years, no longer than 2 years, no longer than 2 years. Prepositions of direction. To refer to a direction, use the prepositions to, in, into, on, and onto. She drove to the store. She drove to the store. Don't ring the doorbell. Don't ring the doorbell. Come right in or into the house. In, we can say in or to the house. Drive on the grass and park the car there. Drive to the grass and park the car there. Prepositions of spatial relationships. To refer to a spatial relationship, use the prepositions given below. Above, across, ahead of, along, among, around, behind, below, beneath, beside, between, from, in front of, inside, near, of, out of, though, toward, under, and within. These prepositions are used for spatial relationships. Spatial relationships means space, place. Spatial relationships means places. The post office is across the street from the grocery store. If you want to show directions, you use these prepositions in order to show spatial relationships. We will stop at many attractions along the way. We will stop at many attractions along the way. The kids are hiding behind the tree. The kids are hiding behind the tree. His shirt is off. His shirt is off. Walk towards the garage and then turn left. Walk towards the garage and then turn left. Place a check mark within the box. Place a check mark within the box. Prepositions following verbs and adjectives. We said prepositions come before nouns, pronouns, and noun phrases. Now we have a case: prepositions following verbs and adjectives. What are these prepositions? Some prepositions, some verbs and adjectives are followed by certain prepositions. Sometimes verbs and adjectives can be followed by different preposition, giving the phrase different meaning. And when we have a verb without a preposition, its meaning is different from the one with a preposition. To find which prepositions follow the verb or an adjective, look up the verb or adjective in an online dictionary, such as Merriam-Webster, or use a corpus, or even use any dictionary that you have. Memorizing these phrases instead of just the preposition alone is most helpful. Let's see examples of these prepositions following verbs and adjectives and changing their meanings. Following verbs and adjectives and changing their meanings. Some common verbs with preposition combination. For example, we have preposition about, worry about, complain about, read about. He worries about the future. Worries about is considered as one word, not two words. Worries about, complained about, read about, at, arrive at, the jury smiled at, looked at him. She looked at him. She looked at him. We have, for example, from, differ from, sever from, for, account for, allow for, research or search for. Be sure to account for any discrepancies. I returned the transcripts to the interviewees to allow for revisions to be made. They are searching for the missing dog. In, used with, occur, results, succeed. For example, the same problem occurred in 3 out of 4 cases. My recruitment strategies resulted in finding 10 participants. She will succeed in completing her degree. Of, approve of, consist of, smell of. I approve of the idea. Of the idea. The recipe consists of 3 basic ingredients. The basement smells of mildew. We will have more examples on using prepositions with verbs and adjectives, changing their meaning, giving them a different meaning. On, concentrate on, depend on, insist on. He is concentrating on his work. They depend on each other. I must insist on following this rule. 2. Belong, contribute, lead, refer. Bears belong to the family of mammals. With, disagree, agree, argue, deal. We say, I agree or disagree with you. They will deal with the situation. Although verb preposition combinations appear similar to phrasal verbs, the verb and the particle, in this case the preposition, in these combinations cannot be separated like phrasal verbs. For example, we have more explanations about this. Ending a sentence with a preposition. Though we said in English grammar, a sentence rarely ends with a preposition, but this sometimes happens. How? At one time, schools taught students that a sentence should never end with a preposition. This rule is associated with Latin grammar, and while many aspects of Latin have made their way into English, there are times when following this particular grammar rule creates unclear or awkward sentence structures, since the purpose of writing is to clearly communicate your ideas. It is acceptable to end a sentence with a preposition. For example, the car had not been paid for. Ends with a preposition, but is still acceptable. We said that in English, such a rule is not very much acceptable, like having a preposition at the end of the sentence. But sometimes it's okay if it's used. Unclear, for example, revision. Paid for the car had not been. This will be unclear sentence. So it's better to say the car had been paid for. I would like to know where she comes from. This is okay, because if you put it in a different way, it will be unclear. However, in academic writing, you may decide that it is worth revising your sentences and avoid ending a sentence with a preposition. As for example, my research will focus on the community the students lived in. If we want to revise the sentence, my research will focus on the community in which the student lived. See, we removed in from the end to the middle of the sentence. Prepositions, phrases, and wordiness, with the pronouns, too many prepositional phrases can create wordiness in a sentence. For example, the author chose the mixed method designed to explain that the purpose of the study was to explore the leadership qualities of the principals in the schools as a means to gauge teacher satisfaction in the first year of teaching. You see, many prepositions are used in this sentence. This type of sentence could be shortened and condensed to minimize the prepositional phrases and bring clarity to the writer's intention. For example, the author chose the mixed method designed to explore the participants' leadership qualities and their impact on first-year student satisfaction. Both cases, the sentence can be clear, but sometimes using too many prepositional phrases is not preferred, or you might use it when you do a paraphrasing of something. You can use prepositional phrases, or you can minimize using them. By this, I end my lecture. I wish that you made benefit of it. Thank you very much for joining me in this simple presentation of prepositions, their definitions and types.